Hi, it's Steve here from Coonawarra Discovery. This is an instructional video for the staff who are assisting us to rent the e-bikes from the Penola Visitor Information Centre. This is one of the e-bikes. You'll probably get very familiar with them. And what I've got here is the check-in, check-out form, which you use every time you rent a bike to one of the customers. Okay, so this form is used for both the checking in and the checking out process, and then the checking in when the people come back with their bike. And your job is to make sure the bike is the same when it comes back in as when it went out. So what we're going to do now is look around the bike and look at the main things you've got to check for. Okay, so keep up with me. So basically, the first thing you need to do is make sure your name is on the form, and the date and the name of the guests, like the surname of the guest group. The number of e-bikes that they're renting, 1, 2 or 3, and the numbers of the e-bikes that they're renting. And you'll notice, come around here, each e-bike has a number. All right, this does e-bike number 1, and this one over here is number 2. So you guys will have 3, 4 and 5. So you write that in here. Now it's very important that the guest has signed the waiver, the liability waiver, which happens as an automatic part of the login of the check-in process. So when they book the e-bike, they should have already filled that in, basically you can see that email in your email inbox. So first thing we're going to check, when you take the bike out, you make sure that it's got tyre pressure, and you just have to give the tyres a squeeze, and they should feel pretty hard. 44 psi is the correct level for both. In this case, that feels pretty hard. Yep. Bike pressure is okay, so you can tick for bike number 1, tick. Now, when you get the bike out of storage or out of the thing, it might have a bit of dust on it. So you grab a rag and just give it a bit of a wipe on the exposed bits, just to make sure it's clean for the client. They stay pretty clean, but a bit of dusting here and there is always useful. And bike 1, ticket, done. Fresh battery and installation battery. You've got a you got 2 batteries for every bike, and you've got 1 charger for every bike. So you've got 3 battery chargers and 6 batteries. When you rent out a bike, you give the customer 2 batteries. 1 goes in the front of the bike and 1 goes in the bike, like this. You just take the battery, the little end goes in first, and just clicks into place. All right, and there's your on-off switch here. On and off. When it's on, you can press on top and you'll see that the battery has got a full charge on it. I don't know if you can see. Come around here, John. So
you can see.
Because of the shadow. I'll press it again. See? Full. Right. That's done. Now, the next thing you check is the frame tightness. There shouldn't be any slop. You know, when you wiggle this, the front end should wiggle as well. They should be well connected between the 2 ends. This one's okay. Squeaks a little bit, but that means we've got to give it some oil, which I'll do in a minute. But it's tight. If that's too loose, that's dangerous, and you've got to call us. And if you ever need to call us, the number's actually written on the front of the bikes. It's on the logos. It's pretty easy to find us, Coonawarra Discovery. The next thing you want to check is that they've got their flag. These often come off because people sort of jump over and they hit the flag and break it and whatever. They're easy to replace, but it costs money to the client every time. If they come back with half a flag, you've got to tell us and we've got to replace it. Mirrors, another thing that often gets mucked up by the guests. These little mirrors, they can slide down here or they can get bent and twisted. You know, they're pretty easy to fix. They're only held on with rubber straps, but you can easily adjust them yourself. But just make sure they've got both mirrors on, and make sure they're both there and they haven't lost them, because if they lose them, they've got to pay for them. Now come around here to the supplies and safety gear. So this is all going to be supplied with every bike. You've got your bike lock. The code for that is always 2204. 2204 for the bike lock. You've got your Allen key, which is used to adjust the seat height. Maybe by the time you get this video, we'll have already made the seat height automatic with its own butterfly nut, so you don't need the Allen key, but for the time being there's Allen keys for the seat height. And you've got helmets. This is one, but you have a small and a large, and you decide which one the customer should be using, or if they need one for their child in the front. Remember, only up to 10 years old in the front of the bike. No, never 2 adults in a bike, and never really big kids and really big adults. You've got to have no more than 150 kilogram or the bike will be stuffed, ruined. So keep the load down, and the batteries won't last for the customer anyway. So 1 adult per bike, and small children only, maximum. You've got a rain cover as well. So if it looks like it's going to be a rainy day, you can give the customer one of those. Just leave it in the front of the bike and make sure that all this stuff comes back, and you check it all off on your thing. So it's all here now, so I can tick it. We're giving it all to the customer, and when the bike comes back in, we'll tick or cross it. So we know if there's any extra fees the customer has to pay. Brakes, make sure the brakes are working. That's pretty easy. Just pull the bike backwards and forwards and press the brake paddle, and you can see it stopping. The seat height, well, there's an adjuster here. If you want to help the customer, you can with the Allen key, lift the seat up or down, but it's very, very important that they keep the seat as low as possible. The higher the seat, the less stability, and they can fall off. So we want to keep it nice and low, and remember to tell the customers to lean into the way they're turning. Don't just sit upright, because they'll fall off. You've got to lean, get down low and lean when you turn, and go slowly around corners. So that's basically it. Make sure you tell the customers they've got to stay on the Riddick Highway, no shortcuts, and definitely no gravel. These bikes are no good on gravel. There's a fee if we have to come and get the customer. If they break the bike, they fall off, they get tired, and they want us to come and get them, you can ring us, we can come and get the customer, but there will be a fee for $60 for each bike we have to recover. Any damage they do to the bike that comes up on your list, you tell us, and we'll be charging them on the day for that damage. Lost flags, lost mirrors, lost safety gear, anything like that, that's got to be recovered on the day. And remind the guests that they've got to be back at 4:45 at the Visitor Information Centre, or else there's a $60 fee there too, because you don't want to have to work after 5 o'clock, and so they've got to be back before you shut the VIC. And don't let them ride intoxicated. They've got to stay under 0.05, of course. All right, once you've done all this stuff and you've been through it with a client and they've watched their video and they've got their waiver form, you can tick the training is complete, and then the participant has understood the rules. And when they come back in, you do the same thing again. You check the bike out and you run through here and just do your ticks. And finally, give the customer the feedback form, which looks like this, which is like a review form, and let them fill that in just to say what they thought of their day and anything that could be improved, so that we can keep evolving our service. I would also recommend that you let the guest maybe do a few little laps of the car park at the Visitor Information Centre on bitumen there, just so they get a feel for the cornering. And if they still feel uncertain after that, then you might want to let them cancel if they're not going to be happy and they don't feel comfortable. It's not often it happens, but give the client the choice. If after riding them they don't like it, then we can let them out. Whether there's a penalty or no penalty, we'll discuss with you on an ongoing basis. At this stage, there isn't, but there may become necessary for us to have a fee for cancellations on the day of rental. But we'll just have to see how that goes. Everything else is pretty straightforward. They're easy to ride, they're pretty well made. You can be confident that the clients will have a good time. And as you see these feedback forms come in, you'll see that they like them. Thank you for helping us with the e-bikes at the Penola Visitor Information Centre. I'm sure it's going to work out well, especially after the rail trail opens. Thanks. You can always call us with any questions. The phone number is on the bike. Zoom in on the phone number, Johnny. Right, that's it.